Hey guys, Andrew here, today with part 2 of the OCG and game exclusive card review. So part 1 covered all the OCG exclusives, so today we'll have a look at the game exclusive cards. So a quick refresher on the ranking criteria. 5-star cards are meta-defining, must-have inclusions for a certain deck to function. 4-star cards will see a lot of play, but decks aren't typically reliant just on the card itself. 3-star cards will see some play, but most notably in more gimmicky decks, whereas 2-star cards will see next to no play, and 1-star cards are unplayable. Okay, first we have Crowl, Cloud Guardian, 3 stars. He's great in Beget decks, since Soul Gala doesn't exist in the game yet, but other than that, he's just a 2-mana 2k vanilla creature that you'd probably find better options for example, Step Strike Bullraiser or Kook Pulon. So I don't really expect him to be played beyond the Beget decks. But do check out the Outlier deck profile that we covered previously. He's pretty good in that. Everlast, Lord of Spirits, 3 stars. Although he may not be as impressive as his older brother Deus, Everlast does manage to sneak his way into some decks, with an ability that can be quite useful at times, especially against more aggressive decks. Unfortunately, Angel Commands are still costed quite highly, and his effect isn't all that amazing. Couriers, Vizier of Containment, 2 mana, 1.5k, shield trigger blocker. 1 star. Being at 1.5k, he isn't really going to be blocking anything. Play Sarius instead. Streaming Vision. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck face up, put all water cards among them into your hand, and put the rest into your graveyard. 4 stars. This card reminds me a lot of Marinomancer, but a bit worse in the fact that you can only keep water cards, and it doesn't come with a 3k body. However, that being said, Streaming Visions is almost a must-include for mono water decks, and it is extremely powerful, allowing you to avoid playing more conditional draw cards like Illusionary Merfolk. The reason why it's not 5 stars is it can only really fit into one archetype, that being mono water, although I am quite interested in seeing how this may do in a dual civilization deck. Could be real interesting. King Kale is a card that I wished we had in the TCG. Quite a powerful anti-aggro tech option, combining a powerful bounce effect onto a decent blocker. 4 stars. You often see this card being splashed into Titan Giant decks as a 1 or 2 off. It comes in clutch against aggressive decks, but also against boss monsters, such as Deus, Bomedius, and so forth. But what really sells King Kale for me is this card here, Legendary Binor. A lot stronger now, being at 11k. It also grants all your water creatures can't be blocked, which plays a bigger part than you think, since often the case you'll have a few Aquahocuses and Aquasurfers on the field when you play Binor, it can be the difference maker when you try and finish the game. King Helgoland. Talk about going from one of the best Leviathans to one that's quite mediocre. 2 stars. You'd be a lot better off playing King Kale. The only scenario and why he barely escapes the unplayable tier is the fact that Legendary Binor focused decks may want to play 1 or 2 copies of him, just for a easy evolution bait, but even then it's not 100% certain. Alom, 2 mana, 1k Cyberlord. Most of you would instantly point out to the superior TCG counterpart in Emerald, and may just write this off as a bad card. But you'd be wrong. Alom is sometimes a 1 or 2 off in Illusionary Merfolk decks to give them a bit more consistency. However, doesn't see much play beyond that. 3 stars. Deus, Master of Death, gets a 3-star rating for its powerful and efficient effect. One thing to point out about power reduction effects is it's almost strictly better than the destroy a creature with X power or less cards. For example, Deus, normally unkillable with cards like Double Geyser, can be killed by Deus, as you reduce Deus to 5.5k and kill it. Pretty neat. Anyway, Lock Deus is a great 1 or 2 of in Demon Command decks. However, since you do have to play Demon Commands, 3 stars is as high as it can go. Enriching Worm is a parasite worm, 2k blocker, that has the unique effect of, at the start of your turn, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your graveyard. At the moment, he's a 1-star card, as his effect is more of a detriment than a benefit at the moment, as it is quite hard to gain card advantage through your graveyard. However, possibly with more card releases in the future, that interaction may change. But as it stands, he's a 1-star card. Another parasite worm in the 1-star bracket is Greedy Worm, 3 mana, 1k Slayer. Not too much to say about this card, other than Slayer cards are quite underwhelming in general. Lapew Porter is a 2 mana 1k Firebird that grants all your dragons plus 2k. The fact that most of your dragons are going to be 6k and above, an extra 2k isn't really going to make much difference. I don't really see how this card will see any play at all. You'd probably just run Kupalon instead for a Firebird that's 2 mana 1k. Cardosaur is an interesting card that has recently seen more and more play. Obviously, the deck that you'd most likely play him in is Double Geyser, which has received a few buffs, as both Meteorosaur is now 4 mana, and Double Geyser himself can now kill creatures 6k power or less instead of the usual 3k he had back in the TCG. Quite a big change. That definitely sees Double Geyser now borderline playable. But beyond Double Geyser decks, Cardosaur has also seen some play in the Water Fire Beatdown deck as an extra shield trigger. It can sometimes be the difference maker. 3 stars. Finally, for nature, we have Ambition Bee, 2 mana, 2k vanilla giant insect. Not too shabby for a cheap evolution bait for giant insect decks. However, you do have to remember that this card exists, which outclasses Ambition Bee in so many ways. So unfortunately, Ambition Bee gets the 1-star rating. Ripple Autumn Wind Fairy is a supercharged Mighty Shelter that is now a shield trigger. I always thought Mighty Shelter just needed a little bit of a push to make him playable. Either make him cost 2 or give him shield trigger. And that's exactly what they've did here. Although the shield trigger does come with an extra mana cost, which does make drawing into this quite bad. I have seen this card as a 1 or 2 of in Titan Giant decks as another source of mana acceleration. It could be good against aggressive decks when they break into it. But ultimately, 4 mana is just too much. 2 stars. And that's it. All the game exclusive cards in Duel Masters Plays. Hope you guys enjoyed this little 2-part series. For those of you who haven't seen part 1, link will be in the description. We'll be back with more Duel Masters Plays tech profiles in the upcoming weeks. But in the meantime, this is Andrew, and you're watching The Gauntlet.